and around about that same time, they decided they wanted to change round things on Doctor Who. Previously, Dudley Simpson had written all the music for all the episodes
That's right,
of Doctor Who. He then started doing Blake 7, and so he obviously was doing an enormous amount of work. And they decided they wanted other people to have a go at this. And so Peter Howell and I, both at the workshop, made a kind of demo recording using adventures from which had already been finished and done.
Right.
And we got the tapes of those without the music on, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
And did sort of demo recordings of what we would have done if we were doing the music. And so John Nathan Turner and I suppose others listened to that and said, yeah, this is good. We like this. It's a bit more a different style, you know, it's kind of pure electronic music as opposed to a lot of musicians and then a bit of electronic stuff on top, which is what Dudley's approach was.
Of course.
So that's what we did, and it was okay. And that's when we started to write music for the episodes.
Wonderful stuff. Because I was going to say, John Nathan Turner, when he came in, it seems like his mandate was to update everything about the show. Obviously, Peter Howell went on to make the new intro, if I remember rightly. Yes. The music just had a complete shift. I've been rewatching like Tom Baker's later years recently on BritBox, and the music difference between that last season and the few seasons prior is vast, mainly because of the sound of it, you know?
Yes, a lot. Yes, it's quite a big change. And we didn't try to sort of match in or anything. We just sort of did what we could do. And because what we could do was all on synthesizers, that of course made it very different from the approach that Dudley used to use, which was to record a band, not a very big band, but a band. And all his music seemed to be very much the same sort of tempo, although he could write he was very skilled. He could write across the beat and give the illusion of different tempos in a way, but we didn't do that. We had a system going where we could just do the music in any tempo that we wanted, depending on what the thing was. So I think that's a sort of one of the biggest musical differences that we arranged.
Was there any sort of, I don't know how it works from music producers, so please do fill me in, but was there any brief given to you about how, maybe from John Nathan Turner, maybe from the production team, the writers, was there any brief given on how they wanted certain things to sound? Let's say for Logopolis, you know, that's a very major story where the fourth Doctor's leaving the show. Were you given any notes on that?
Always, the process was that you would go along, first of all, to a meeting in, not Television Centre, it was a place on Shepherd's Bush Green, which was a kind of BBC office building. And meet the director, and you sit in a room and just watch the show, and then every now and again you'd pause it. It would be on a VHS machine, and so you'd kind of pause that and say, well, is that where, you know, that'd be nice to have a piece of music there. Sometimes they wanted to paper over the cracks, you know, if something wasn't very good. Or didn't work. So there's an element of repair work to do with the music, but mostly it was to heighten the kind of tension or give a steer on something that might be just about to happen. So this, oh dear, you know, something around the corner type stuff. And so you go through all that and come away with a tape which had no sound effects on it either. It was just the dialogue as recorded. In those days it was a mixture of TV studio and film. So some of the things were heavily film, and some of them had very little in. And so that all got put together in an editing room, and it got put together in the way that was it. That was finished time-wise. So we were able to make the music fit to whatever was going on. And so yes, the answer to that is the directors were at that and had kind of clear ideas usually of where they wanted music, and then occasionally ideas came up at the same time. And at that meeting, Dick Mills came along because he was doing the sound effects.
Yes.
And we used to talk about, well, why don't you do this on just sound effects, or why don't we do this just on music, that sort of thing. So that was another part of it. So yeah, quite, I know a lot of direction on that, but I think I don't remember the very early ones, but I think we, just perhaps in the early ones had a bit of, look, we'll play you with the sort of thing we're doing, and then see, we go from there, and they'd either say, that's crap or that's great, and we'd just go from there.
Great stuff. I was going to ask, you've already answered my question there. So would it always be that you had the footage to work off, or sometimes would they just show you a script, story outline, and then you create a sound based on that, maybe? Because obviously great.
No, the system was you had the footage,
right?
You did the cues to that, and the next stage is you go along to a dubbing suite where all the bits of sound would be then overlaid onto the picture. And so that's what we did. And there's always massive arguments about the music's not loud enough. That's what we'd be saying. Somebody else would be saying the music's too loud. Then it would clash with the sound effects, and there'd be a kind of argument about that, which ended up usually with a compromise. And usually, sometimes it's better to play it on one or the other and not have a lot of distracting stuff fighting each other. But that's where those decisions were made.
Fantastic stuff.